are the big brands at Sephora pulling off perfect shimmery body sprays when combining mica and oil creates a sparkly sludge at the bottom of the bottle that clogs your mister? They've got a sneaky formulation trick up their sleeve that keeps mica magically suspended in oil while still spraying beautifully. I've been formulating for over a decade, and in this video, I'm going to explain why simple oil and mica mixtures fail, reveal the big brand's shimmery, sprayable secret, share a simple, super customizable 6-ingredient base formula so you can start making pro-level shimmery body oil sprays at home, and let you know how to get a totally free resource to help you fix other formulations that didn't turn out the way you'd hoped. Let's get making. The heart of the shimmer spray challenge is quite simple. Anything that is thin enough to spray isn't thick enough to keep that mica suspended, and if you thicken up your oils enough to keep the mica suspended, it isn't thin enough to spray anymore. This is true for the big guys too. They haven't figured out how to bend the rules of physics. Instead, what they do is use a special type of ingredient that allows the viscosity of the product to change depending on what it's doing. This means the product can be thick when it's sitting still, holding that mica in suspension, but then thin to a sprayable viscosity when you go to use it. How cool is that? But how do we harness this shape-shifting wizardry at home? There are quite a few different ingredients that can impart this magic. As usual, some aren't available to home crafters, and some are easier to work with than others. I recently got my hands on one that works really well and is easy to use, and I'm going to show you how right now. We'll start with the ingredients that make up the bulk of this shimmery oil body spray, the oils. If you've watched some of my other videos on body oils, you might be reaching for an ester right now, but for this formulation, we'll actually be using lightweight, true oils instead, and I will explain more on that later. Our star oil is rich in barrier-boosting linoleic acid, making it an excellent skincare choice. It's also cheap. You'll need 38.65 grams sunflower seed oil. Make sure it's regular sunflower seed oil, not the high oleic version you can buy for soap making. This next oil is a skincare favorite for good reason. It's a wonderful moisturizer that's rich in vitamin E. Weigh out 10 grams jojoba oil. I'm using golden jojoba, which will make the finished oil quite yellow in the bottle, so if you want a paler oil, use clear jojoba instead. You can definitely play with this oil blend to customize it and use what you already have. Just be sure to keep it primarily true liquid oils made from plants. This base of beautiful oils will nourish and moisturize your skin without feeling heavy, but just these oils plus mica equals shimmer sludge. Honestly, shimmer sludge is just one of many DIY flops I ran into as a new maker, and using precious ingredients on something that doesn't work, it just stinks. So that is why I have put together over 30 of my top troubleshooting tips for 8 of the most common DIY disasters into a handy-dandy PDF I'm calling the Humblebee and Me Formulation Fixes Cheat Sheet. It is completely free, so check the link in the description box below to grab your copy. Anyhow, it's finally time for the ingredient that imparts that mica suspending, sludge avoiding, sprayable magic. This is crystal clear wax from TKB Trading, and it's the shape-shifting magic maker in this formula. So what is that magic? This ingredient thickens oils clearly, which is pretty rare, but more importantly for our shimmer spray, it's excellent at suspending ingredients like micas, and it's a thixotropic or shear thinning thickener. Shear force is like when you slide a chair across the floor, cut a piece of paper with scissors, or spray a shimmery body oil. This means the thickening we get from this ingredient drops substantially when it is forced through a mister or pump top, but then thickens right back up once that shear force goes away, meaning the mica will stay suspended in the thickened oil when it's standing still, but the product will still spray when it needs to. You'll need 0.25 grams. This ingredient isn't cheap, but thankfully you don't need much. I know not everyone can get this ingredient, so as always, if you are looking for substitution suggestions, please read through the free partner blog post. It's linked in the description box below. Now, compared to some other common thixotropic thickeners, crystal clear wax is pretty easy to work with, but it does still have a few particularities. I'll walk you through them as we make our lovely sprayable shimmer oil. Begin by combining the liquid oils and crystal clear wax in a beaker and melt everything together over medium heat. The mixture needs to get up to about 90 degrees Celsius or 194 degrees Fahrenheit for the crystal clear wax to melt and incorporate, so a water bath isn't a great choice here. If you don't have beakers and a hot plate or a smooth stovetop that you can put your beakers on, melt everything together in a small saucepan on the stovetop instead, keeping a very close eye on it so it doesn't burn. While that melts, let's prepare the last 3 ingredients. First up, a shimmer oil needs some shimmer, of course, and we will be getting that shimmer from a gorgeous mica. Natural mica is a mined mineral that is broken up and laminated with all sorts of different colorants to create a zillion different shimmery, sparkly options. But you can't just use any mica for a shimmery body spray. The very first thing to check is how the mica was sourced. Some mica is mined in truly horrific conditions, so make sure you only purchase ethically sourced micas. This information is usually available in the FAQ of a website, but if it isn't, ask. TKB Trading, Brambleberry, and Yellowbee all sell exclusively ethically sourced micas. The next thing to check is the particle size of the mica. Because we want to spray this product, you need to choose a mica with really tiny particles. Larger particles are more likely to clog the misting mechanism of your bottle, and we definitely don't want that to happen. So how do you check the particle size? Well, start by looking at it. The bigger the particle, the more sparkly the mica will be. The smaller the particles, the more shimmery or glowy it'll be. Even though these 2 micas are both gold, it's clear from the sparkle factor alone which is the finer of the 2. The next place to look is at the stated particle size in the documentation. You won't always find this, but it's great if you can. This will be stated as a range, usually measured in micrometers or microns. Finer, more glowy ones will usually fall below 50 micrometers. Larger, more sparkly micas will usually go up past 100 micrometers, and I've seen as high as 400. The only way to really know if a mica will work in your mister is to try it, but choosing a fine one will help a lot. I'm going to use Highlight Copper from TKB Trading. It looks pretty plain right now, but just wait until you see it in the oil. You'll need half a gram of your mica, which doesn't seem like much, but creates plenty of sprayable sparkle in the bottle. Our next ingredient makes the body oil smell amazing, a fragrance or essential oil. I'm using Luxe from Stock Fragrance, which I have become completely obsessed with lately. You can use a different fragrance oil or essential oil, of course. Just be sure it is safe for use at 0.7% in IFRA Category 5A products. The last ingredient you'll need is vitamin E to help extend the shelf life of the oil by delaying rancidity. I'm going to weigh these last 2 ingredients directly into the formula since it's just a few drops of each, so I'll just put them somewhere easy to reach for now. Now, I said earlier that crystal clear wax can be a bit picky about things, and you might have guessed what from earlier in the video. It's the oils and emollients you use with it. I experimented with a variety of plant oils and esters and found crystal clear wax can perform really differently depending on the polarity of the oil you use, including barely thickening at all or getting really chunky. I shared the results of these experiments with my patrons in an exclusive video, so if you would like to check that out and learn more about this super cool ingredient, please consider becoming a patron at the exclusive videos and live product analysis tier. In short though, err on the side of higher polarity real oils like sunflower, sweet almond, jojoba, and camellia seed. Once the crystal clear wax has melted, we are ready to proceed. But wait! The crystal clear wax is so clear that it can be a little bit sneaky, making you think it has melted when it has not. So, really get in there and stir, look really closely at the mixture and pull your spoon up and you're like, do you see any blobs? Just make super sure it has melted. And once you're certain it has melted, remove the mixture from the heat and stir in the mica. We need to let the oil cool to close to room temperature before we can add the last 2 ingredients. When that happens, weigh in 0.35 grams of your fragrance and 0.25 grams vitamin E. Stir to combine, and now it's almost time to see if it works. Pour the oil into a bottle with a spray cap and spray. Yep, that definitely sprays. Now, just in case you are thinking, that's nice, but you have not proven that you fixed the shimmer sludge because it hasn't had any time to settle out, I've got something to show you. Here are 2 bottles I made over 10 weeks ago, and see? There's a teensy bit of settling at the top, maybe like a millimeter, but it is far from unsprayable shimmer sludge. Now you know the shape-shifting trick behind shimmery body sprays, but there are so many other formulation tricks hidden in our favorite cosmetics. So if you would like to level up your cosmetic wizardry, check out this video next to learn the secret behind the magical clear lip oils and glosses that turn pink when you apply them. Plus, how to make your very own dupe of Dior's lip glow oil. And don't forget to click below to get your free formulation fixes cheat sheet. Happy making!